Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review, episode 110. Yes. Yeah, in case you wonder what will be the next series to hit past episode 100, it's probably either going to be Black Clover or probably Case Closed. One of those two, probably the next one hits episode 100. It's distinctly possible. This episode, for this particular review, I'm covering the 900th episode of the One Piece anime, which is the greatest day of my life, Otama and her sweet bean soup, and the 954th chapter of the manga, like giving wings to a dragon. Yes, yeah. One thing I just noticed though, man, it's like with this arc, like the titles for these episodes are getting longer. It's not like about 2 or 3 words. This is basically like a complete sentence. Like, wow, this was occasionally like this during the whole cake arc, but it seems like this is basically the norm when it comes to Wano. Why not? This episode is an adaptation of pages 2 through 13 of chapter 914. Yep, exactly like, believe it or not, and this is by exact, almost exactly 40 chapters. Like, 40 chapters behind where it is right now in the manga. Yep, 40. The episode starts off with, well, we have Otama getting her cure for her poison that she drank a few episodes back. And of course, we also have the waitress, which according to, and this is according to Zoro, she is huge. She's really tall. Yep, taller than he is. Yes. This is nothing unusual for the One Piece series for women to be unnaturally tall. Zoro is basically like a little over 6 feet tall. She looks like she's about 6'5". That's my personal guess, anyways. And Luffy basically points she's not as big as Big Mom, which that is true. Big Mom is one of the biggest characters of the whole series. You know how tall Big Mom is? Big Mom is 24 feet tall. She's the size of a freaking skyscraper. Yep. One of the few characters actually reached that high. The only characters that reached that high have been Gecko Moria, Katakuri, and Bartholomew Kumu. Kumu, yes. Mostly this episode just a lot of exposition, like mentioning that, well, Luffy was basically brought here because of, well, her sensei, and apparently she does know the owner of this tea house very well, because she refers to it as of course, first refers to as Tama-chan. So, yep. And of course, well, the waitress, I believe her name is Seru, I think her name is. Yes, she treats Zoro's wound. Yeah, treats his wound that he got in the last episode. Him getting hit with a freaking nail. Treats it basically turns like a field dressing, which looks pretty good. And, well, then of course, well, Tama basically gets hungry. So, preparing some food for her. And she refuses, and then, pointed out by the waitress, of course, the owner gets a little bit angry at her. Of course, at one point she tries to run away, though the owner basically stops her. And finally, the waitress, yeah, she doesn't take no for an answer. Then she eats it, and she points out, yeah, this is yummy. Yep. And Luffy feels a little bit sad that he actually ate her food. Yep. So, and then of course the owner basically reveals the top of this mountain, which is right near where the tea house is, that's where Odin Castle is, basically where the previous shogun lived. Yep. Of course, this is also the same place, which is the headquarters. Well, at one point was the headquarters for the rebellion against Kaido and the shogun. This is also the first time they actually sort of get a glimpse of what the shogun looks like. Yeah, but in the manga, he's not that freaking big. He's not bulky. He's a skinny guy who basically cares nothing about himself at all. Yep. He also doesn't give a damn about his own country. Yes, he wanted to rule his country so badly that he worked with Kaido, and yeah, he doesn't give a damn, but he doesn't give a damn about the fact his country is suffering. He doesn't care. It's like, oh, Flower Capital's fine. Yep. And because she badmouthed the Shogun, we have a Batman. Yes, that is seriously what this thing is called. A Batman. Basically a man in a bat costume. Not like Batman for DC Comics. They at least put a hyphen there so they won't get copyright from DC Comics. Though I think Toei basically would not be sued by Warner Brothers over this due to the fact of their long-standing partnership since the mid-2000s. Yeah, so I highly doubt they're going to be sued by Warner Brothers for this because of the partnership. That's my only personal theory. Yep. So he basically comes and he fires an arrow at the owner of the tea house, and Zoro blocks with his sword, and he fires a whole boatload of arrows at him and Luffy, which they also before this all happened, Zoro introduced him as Zoro Toro, and Luffy introduced his normal name, but basically because he has to be undercover here, whereas Luffy Toro, okay, of course Zoro refers himself as a Ronin, which makes sense. He basically is the best person to fit a Ronin. He carries around 3 katanas and dresses like a freaking samurai anyway, so it makes perfect sense that he's a Ronin. I wonder what Nami would do. Be the weather girl? Who the heck knows? I mean, if you look at basically what everyone else is up to, at least that Frankie, like the profession he's undercover as, makes sense because he is a carpenter. As for Usopp, he's a Toad ink salesman, which, okay, that kind of does make sense because he's known for selling stuff, so that does make sense. I would say the one that makes the least sense is probably Nico Robin. Her working as a geisha, yes, hers is the most unusual choice. But as for now, they actually do not return the half of Luffy's crew, the one to retrieve Sanji. They don't return for like a couple more chapters after this one. So they fight the guy for a while, and then we have this speedster just shows up. Yes, a speedster who apparently can run 200 kilometers per hour, picks up Tama, and then basically Luffy wants to go after him. That's where the episode ends. Yep. I'd say it's a pretty interesting episode. I love all the exposition they give this one because it's really good development for this particular arc. Now on for the new chapter of the manga, like a dragon growing wings. We see Bench. Looks like he's got a new ship. And apparently he's trying to get to the Red Line for some reason, yes. The old different ship we had before was a freaking castle. Chapter starts off pretty much where we left off last chapter, where we have the guy who knows Momoshiki's sister. Yeah, this is the same woman who's the waitress in the episode. They don't reveal this a little bit later. Yep. And of course she basically talks about the sword they were given from her father, the previous shogun. And she mentioned they're forged by well-known smiths, so it's very valuable indeed. Exactly, you must not, my princess. Oh, the anybody to wield Lord Odin's blade unthinkable. I didn't know turn of events, but the blade of the sword ended up in your sword got remedy in your hands. Yeah, but Zoro's explained this several times. He's been accused several times in this arc of basically a grave robber because one of the swords is from one of the country's heroes. Even though he didn't steal it, that was Gekko Moria. Yes, please try to treasure to Wano. Well, if you give me your place, I guess. Even though it was once already dead. Remember as a warrior who I'm fought. I get it. I'll get back the sword. At least let me go visit his grave once afterwards. He's completely delusional. You sure you can trust this man, princess? And we cut to the flower capital, where we see that apparently Law has breaking out of his handcuffs and giving a very intense interrogation to Basil Hawkins. We've been tricked. Scratchman Appo was already under Kaido's umbrella. And of course the reason why they're talking about the line between Captain Kidd, Scratchman Appo, the guy with the piano keys for teeth. Yes, that guy. on a kind of the Mantra's book thus. If you wish to join me, I will welcome you open arms. He was always on the lookout for strong subordinates. To create his strongest army, of course. At the time, victory was 0%. Chance of successfully escaping 0%. If he submitted, 40%. Once realized, Kid and Killer refused. They stood against them and fought until they couldn't move. Kaido isn't time to kill people like that. He finds out break their spirits and force them to serve him. I definitely kill ever submit, which he will die. His crew members like it behind, like being told that do this or do that, or will think about freeing your cat. In other words, use them as sees fit. The young the I they've heard of Yonko in basically the original translation. I've heard of it as simply the one of the four emperors. So, yeah, the emperors are different than creatures UI. Logic apply. Seems your alliance with Straw Hat is doing well, though. Mail with the Wano, any troubles, right? Now what? He had a change of heart? Are we? I don't have to answer your questions. And he pretty much just knocks him out. If you let me escape, if you let me escape, is your plan? I'll happily join in. 6 days until the Otama raid, and it cuts back to the prisoner mine, where Luffy was prisoner. You see, that's Kaido's skin. Remember your defeat. Remember how completely useless brute force was against them. There's no time to waste against enemy as a monster. You must learn this. And of course, well, Luffy just training to beat Kaido. Then Kinemon basically contact them. Of course, and we see that Kinemon is contacting a few of his, let's say his allies. And of course, you see Zoro doing it. You see, not Zoro, you see Frankie doing a super pose, where he has his arms basically together. It's like, yep. And you see like the weapon shop, a collection of swords. Talking about the Yakuza. Nami basically working with Kinemon, saying, "Wow, really does. I guess it really does make immediate sense. Make people from Wano make sense to be Wano." So this means 2 lines to Habu make it Babu. This puzzle difficult to understand, and of course we show a map of Wano, where it looks like a giant bent foot with no toes. That's what the land looks like. It's a frickin' island. Yep, then show that one of the previous rulers of the country, not the direct one. And then we see various members of the alliance basically meeting together, which includes the ninja, the previous ruler's daughter, the guy who was painter, who was a friend of Kinemon's, and of course we see Brook, first time a few chapters see him, and Zoro. Waste time here. Right. Let's begin strategy conference. So we cut to like the edge of Wano, where it looks like that people are trying to get into Wano. Apparently there's a way to get the Wano basically underneath the island itself. I could explain how Kaido gets in on the problem. Then Kaido just basically just talks there for a while, and then see Scratch and Appo just doing whatever. And then we see like King and Queen just standing doing nothing. And the chapter ends apparently that Kaido and Big Mom are now allies. Okay. And then here's something I was basically kind of expecting. I was hoping this would happen about a couple weeks ago, but yeah, Brazil's going to break next week. So yeah, we have an alliance between Big Mom and Kaido. This is going to be interesting. If you look at this chapter as a whole, you can think this chapter is basically just setting the stage for the next portion of the arc. Yes. And it's a nice way to take a break, basically this big cliffhanger that Kaido and Big Mom basically are now friends, despite the fact they've hated each other for years. Yep. It's a good chapter. And it looks like, though, we're finally get a chance to see maybe some progress. Luffy's appearance in this chapter is nothing more than just a cameo, which is kind of odd since he's the main character of the series. I mean, there's not one character in here. I mean, the only character I can think who appears in a good chunk of this chapter is Zoro. Yes, and him basically taking one of the swords of the previous Shogun, that makes sense. Now I'm thinking that after this arc, when this arc concludes, I'm sure Carrie probably will stay with the Straw Hat crew full time because she enjoys work with them, and probably Tom probably go with them too because, well, I'm sure Luffy basically is probably gonna fulfill a promise that Ace made about 5 years prior to him, 5 years prior to events of the series. I'm sure he might do that. It's distinctly possible, but it all depends exactly on, well, what Oda wants to do. But yes, good chapter. Give this one a 9 out of 10. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this particular review. I have 5 more reviews today. One, who knows, the other one will be coming today. The other reviews basically to come today are 3 Comic Corners, a review of the newest episode of Dragon Ball Super, and this is a maybe, this one because I haven't seen uploaded yet, and of course review of the newest episode of Boruto. Okay, the next one is gonna be a Comic Corner on 2 DC trades, magic based ones. Okay, but see you next view. Bye.